Welcome to the FAQ Shack. This is the show where we answer your questions, and today we're diving into an awesome one from a listener. We're going to break down the incredible lightning-fast mechanics of carnivorous plants.
You know, even the great Charles Darwin was absolutely captivated by the Venus flytrap. On screen here, you can see he called it one of the most wonderful plants in the world. But what if I told you that a huge assumption about how it works, one that even he made, turned out to be completely wrong for over a century? To get to the bottom of this little botanical mystery, we're going to look at two plants that are super closely related. One lives on land, and the other, well, it lives in the water.
Okay, so on the left, you've got the famous Venus flytrap, and on the right, its aquatic sister species, the water wheel plant. I mean, the resemblance is just uncanny, isn't it? For well over 100 years, scientists just figured the water wheel was, a miniature underwater version of the flytrap, and that they snap shut in the exact same way. And that assumption, that's the key to this whole story.
So, to really understand the big plot twist here, we first need to get into the weeds of how the Venus flytrap's famous snap actually works. It's truly a masterclass in natural engineering.
The trap of a Venus flytrap isn't really like a hinge on a door, it's way more like a contact lens popping inside out. So here's what happens. The plant pumps its lobes full of water, building up this immense pressure and storing a ton of elastic energy. Then, when an insect bumps into those little trigger hairs, water rushes from the inside cells to the outside cells. That sudden shift causes the leaf shape to violently snap from convex to concave, basically from a dome to a bowl, all in a fraction of a second.
Now here is the absolute crucial detail you need to remember for later. That central part, the midrib, the bit that looks for all the world like a hinge, it doesn't actually bend, not at all. All the power for that incredible snap comes from the lobes themselves as they flip their shape. Just tuck that little fact away. It's going to be really important.
And that incredible mechanism brings us to a really fantastic question from one of our listeners.
This one comes from Alex in Ohio, who asks, "Hey FAQ Shack, I've heard you have to touch the trigger hairs twice for the trap to close. Is that true, and why?" Alex, that is a brilliant question, and you are absolutely right. It's one of the plant's cleverest tricks. You see, this double trigger is the plant's ingenious little filtering system. It needs two separate touches, within about 30 seconds of each other, to actually snap shut. Why? Well, it prevents it from wasting a huge amount of energy on a false alarm, like a random raindrop or a piece of debris falling onto it. It's a super smart way to make sure it's only closing on something that's actually alive and wriggling around. All right, so now we get how the Venus flytrap works with its buckling snap. Let's turn our attention back to its aquatic cousin, the water wheel plant. This is where the story gets really interesting. So for more than a century, that old assumption held up. But when scientists finally pointed high-speed cameras at the tiny water wheel plant, they saw something that just turned everything completely on its head. It doesn't buckle at all. Even though it looks almost identical, it uses a completely different system to snap shut.
What they discovered was a totally different principle, something called kinematic amplification. You can think of it like the brake pedal in a car, right? A small press with your foot gets amplified into a massive amount of force to stop the wheels. It's a system where a tiny, subtle movement in one spot is massively amplified into a big, fast movement somewhere else.
So remember how we said the Venus flytrap's midrib doesn't bend? Well, the water wheel's does. And that is the whole secret. A tiny, almost imperceptible bend right there in its midrib gets amplified by the leaf's geometry, and that's what causes the lobes to slam shut with incredible speed. Here, the power comes from the hinge, not the lobes. Just the complete opposite.
So now we know how the flytrap snaps shut, but let's talk about how powerful that snap really is. Scientists have actually measured the forces involved, and the numbers are, well, they're pretty astonishing.
First, there's the initial impact. The very moment that trap slams shut, it hits with about 149 millinewtons of force.
But it doesn't stop there. As the trap seals up and starts its digestion process, it applies this slow, steady squeezing force on its prey, and that builds all the way up to 450 millinewtons.
But honestly, this is the number that just blows my mind. To actually escape, a trapped insect would need to generate up to 4 newtons of force. I mean, for a tiny insect, that is a truly monumental, almost impossible amount of strength. So how in the world did they measure this? Well, you can see in the diagram on screen, they did something really clever. They made an artificial prey out of a Teflon tube, let the plant trap it, and then used a super sensitive force gauge to measure exactly how much force it took to pull it back out. Just a really neat experiment. So what we're left with here is this amazing puzzle.
You have two sister species. They look almost identical, but they developed two completely different engineering solutions to the exact same problem: how to catch your dinner as fast as possible.
This timeline on the screen illustrates their evolutionary journey perfectly. Both of these plants evolved from a common ancestor that used really simple, sticky flypaper traps. But as they split off, they took radically different paths. The Venus flytrap perfected this low buckling system, which is great for hunting on land. Meanwhile, the water wheel plant developed that mid-rib bending kinematic amplification, which is probably way better for snapping shut underwater without just pushing its prey away with a wave of water.
It is such an amazing example of divergent evolution, and it really makes you wonder what other incredible engineering is hiding in plain sight in the plant kingdom. What assumptions are we making right now that might get completely overturned by the next big discovery? If you have a question you want us to tackle next, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for joining us at the FAQ Shock.